So good morning, everybody. Here is Martin. I will guide you through the next 60 minutes through this webinar. As suggested, we will wait for another 1 or 2 minutes until we start the webinar and until further participants will join us. So good morning, everybody. I suggested we start the webinar. Welcome everybody in the name of Smart Agri Hubs Regional Cluster Central Europe. My name is Martin Hirt. I work for the Austrian Chamber of Agriculture and I will moderate this webinar today. Digital Innovation Hub Innovate, implementing practical solutions on the ground. Let's see. Let's have a look to our program and to our agenda today. After a short introduction into Smart Agri Hubs from my side, we will hear something about the open call funding opportunities of Smart Agri Hubs. And after that, our special guests today, Mrs. Valerie Herzog and Mrs. Seeberger from the Austrian Digital Innovation Hub Innovate will present and introduce us into their initiative and in their work in digital agriculture, timber and forestry. After that, or actually during the whole webinar, you have the possibility to ask questions. Please use the Q&A function for any questions or discussion contributions that you might have. We will answer them and discuss them together after the presentation of Innovate. Yeah, what is Smart Agri Hubs about? Smart Agri Hubs is one of the biggest European initiatives and projects dealing with digital farming. It's an Horizon 2020 project which will last until the next fall, till the end of 2022. There are about 170 partners trying to build up a pan-European network of innovative actors and especially of digital innovation hubs in the field of agriculture 4.0. And yeah, besides experiments, innovation experiments, we run also a networking tool like the Smart Agri Hubs Innovation Portal, where you find not only potential partners and network partners, but also trainings, events, a calendar, forum tools, funding opportunities across different sections. And yeah, I would just encourage you all to visit smartagrihubs.eu, register there and get entry into our Smart Agri Hubs Innovation Portal. So, but yeah, before I will end with this part, I would also invite you to our next webinar in December. On the 10th of December, we will have a Smart Agri Hubs webinar with the Swiss Future Farm, one of the first digital demonstration fields in Europe, which started in 2018, and they will give us insights in their work and what they have done so far. You can register again and at our over our social media pages, but also by visiting the Smart Agri Hubs homepage and the innovation portal. So, but now I would like to hand over to my colleague Dora Miron. She will give us some news and information about the funding opportunities we have in the Smart Agri Hubs project, and especially in our Smart Agri Hubs open call. Please, Dora, you have the stage.
Thank you very much, Martin. Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to give you just a short overview of the 2 calls which are open in Smart Agri Hubs and which are directed towards digital innovation hubs. And I will share my screen with you. I hope everything works out fine. As I mentioned, the Smart Agri Hubs calls or funding opportunities address digital innovation hubs. And I think in this context, it is important to understand what Smart Agri Hubs sees as a digital innovation hub. This is usually a role in an organization. So you don't need to be a digital innovation hub like our next presenters are as a formal organization. But if you are an organization which supports innovation services in ecosystem building, technology, design, scale up, testing, and market readiness or business advice, you may qualify as a digital innovation hub in the interpretation of Smart Agri Hubs and thus be available, have the funding available to you. Currently, as I mentioned, there are 2 calls open. One which aims to help digital innovation hubs to shore up and realize innovation experiments. The call is open until June 22, but because the project ends in October 2022, you also need time for implementation. This means that applying as early as possible would be most beneficial. And one DHI or a network of DHIs can apply for a maximum €500,000 funding. The second call aims to support the development of services which DHIs offer to their potential clients, as well as to validate innovative service delivery approaches. And this call is also open until June 2022. The same disclaimer as before, you need time for implementation, and the maximum funding is €200,000. I would like to give you a few more details on each of the calls. The expand open call, so the one where you can set up innovation experiments, allows you to apply for €100,000 to €500,000 per project. There is a first come, first serve system. There are still money available, and the proposals are evaluated on a rolling basis. This means whenever a batch comes together, approximately every 2 or 3 months, there is an evaluation, and then approximately 1 month after that, you get a result and can start with your implementation. The funding rate for the DHIs is 20% from Smart Agri Hubs. However, you can cumulate this funding with other sources of funding. And I will try to show an example afterwards in order to make this clear, because this is a bit more complicated as a setup. As mentioned, the call closes in 2022. However, you must finish your implementation until July 2022, and usually a project lasts about 12 months, 12 to 18 months. This is if you want to have a longer running project, then you will have to fund some of the costs from your own means. This means that above the 20%, you can also have some own funding. Otherwise, you will have to design a project which runs for about 6 months. So how could one accumulate the funds? Because this is something we hear most often as a project, as a question also. So the 100 to 200 to 500,000 euro I mentioned can be taken as a 70 to 100% funding for the DHI services. And the innovation experiments can, for example, be funded from other sources. This means that the size of the project is accordingly big, and so you get this the cumulative value of what you get from SHA and what you mobilize from other sources is seen as the total project value, and the funding you have from SHA then can take only up to 20% of this total value. If you are a for-profit company, then the funding rate can be maximum of 70%. If you are a non-profit company, then the funding rate can be of 100% of this 20%. The second call I was mentioning is the original, the development and innovation of delivery of DHI services. The project size is between 50K and 200K. It started in September 2021, so it's relatively new. Submission and deadline are the same as for the first one. And the activities that can be funded for the DHI by Smart Agri Hubs can last maximally until October 22. And the activities are, of course, wished to continue then in your DHI later on a longer time basis. You can find additional information on the Smart Agri Hubs website. Please be aware that the tools, the questions, and the webinars are only available if you are registered on the innovation portal. So please don't wonder if you just get access to the first call or to the first link to a full information, and then for the other free links, you need to register in order to see the information. This was all from my side, and I will stop the sharing, and I'm available for any questions if there are any.
Yes, thank you, Dora. I think there is one central message. Go and get familiar with this open call funding opportunities. There are outstanding possibilities, I think, for many participants also here today. And if there are any specific questions during the next days or week, you can contact us every time. LKO as Regional Cluster Central Europe of Smart Agri Hubs is there for you. Thank you, Dora. And
thank you, Martin. There are two questions. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. I will answer them directly in the chat and wait then for our presenters to go on, so not to keep them up.
Exactly. Yes, thanks. And so we are now on the point to hand over to our today's special guests, to our headliners, Mrs. Valerie Herzog and Pia Seeberger from the Austrian Digital Innovation Hub Innovate. And yeah, the stage is yours. Please give us insights to Innovate and explain how you work and what you do.
Thank you very much, Martin. Pia and myself are very happy and honored to be here today and give you a short overview of what we do, what the DIH Innovate stands for, our motivation and maybe possibilities, how we can collaborate in the future and stay in touch with you. So if we start our presentation, as I said, thank you for having us. Innovate stands for Austria's Digital Innovation Hub for Agriculture, Timber and Energy. All of you probably know a little bit about digital innovation hubs and the focus they have. So what is very specific about our hub is that we focus on specific industries and areas. In our case, that's agriculture, timber, and energy, as I already mentioned. The agriculture part is probably especially interesting to all of you, but timber and energy also kind of plays hand in hand with agriculture. And that's how we came to decide on focusing on these areas. You probably all know that COP26, so the biggest climate change conference, just happened the last couple of days and weeks in Glasgow. And we heard over and over that we live in challenging times, that we need to change the way we act, we work, and we live. And that is also one of the reasons why we asked ourselves, how will we manage to feed 10 billion people in 25 in times of the pandemics and climate change? This is a challenging topic. We know that we need to act now. And that's a driver and motivation for the hub and the program that we decided to put together and kind of get started and follow for the next 2 years, because we're already in place for like almost a year. So we have 2 years to work on this challenge. And what is a possible solution? We know that digitalization, innovation, mega trends of our times can help sustainability, help the way we act and live. And we truly believe that agri-tech offers grand opportunities to work more efficient, to increase productivity, and especially work on the sustainability issue along the entire value chain, so the entire agriculture value chain. And that's what we want to do with our hub. We want to develop new solutions, new technologies, and ways to increase efficiency and sustainability. As you know, digital innovation hubs focus on SMEs. SMEs are our target group. And SMEs are the backbone of the European economy, of each community of the countries we live in. And we heard that you come, like you taking part in our workshop today, you're from all different countries and places over the European Union. I think you probably agree with us that SMEs drive innovation. They are the key players in our economy. And if we just look at the EU, SME represent about 99% of all businesses in the EU. So think about that, 99%. And they employ around 100 million people and account for half of Europe's GDP. So I think you get the idea that SMEs are really important for all of us, for our future and our prosperity in the future. But in order to give these SMEs a chance to further be an important player in our economy, we sometimes have to help them, because especially in certain areas and industries, they're a little bit digitally behind, and we really need to help them in their fear of competition when it comes to big international tech corporations. So we want to help SMEs in the sectors of agriculture, timber, and energy to become the new digital SME champion and be able to take up the competition with international giants like from the US and China, and be able to kind of found a new Google for agriculture, for example, or like a new technology that's going to revolutionize the way we work, including robots, for example. But we have a bunch of ideas, and I think in the next couple of minutes in our presentation, we can share a couple of ideas with you that we already worked on. Just to kind of get you thinking of where we already are and what the future and an outlook for digitalization can be in the next couple of years or even decades. Just look at that picture and think about how the digital future was envisioned in 1900. So that picture is from 1900, and they thought about how digitalization would look like in 2000. And 2000 is already a while back for us now, but I think it gives you an idea of what we already achieved, how our way of working changed, and kind of we want to use this also as a motivator of where we can go in the next couple of years. And again, that's something we work on in our hub and with our SMEs. Maybe focusing a little bit on the agriculture aspect now, because that's why we came together today. We ask ourselves, what is the future of digitalization in agriculture? How is the spread of the following scenarios going to be in 2030? So we do have a couple of years to act on that. And when I think about farm management systems, so that means farm management systems that control and actually use machinery. So it's kind of like software, hardware talking to each other thing. Then we know that 44% of these farm management systems are going to control our machinery. We're going to have 49% driverless tractors or combined harvesters, 43% of field robots that are completely autonomous. So they basically do the work for you. They don't need you anymore. And 45% of autonomous drones that can help you in your, or can help SMEs in our sectors better achieve their work more efficiently. So these are compelling numbers. You get the almost like half of the percentage of machinery and work that's going to be in place by 2030. So how are we going to achieve that? And that's where we come into place. Innovate is going to achieve that with the SMEs in Austria and hopefully also across border and with a couple of other partners. Now we want to take the opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself and Pia. As Martin already mentioned, we are the presidents of Innovate and kind of started the initiative. And I want to hand over the word to Pia now so she can share a couple of words about herself with you.
Yes, so also hello from my side. Very happy to be here today to talk to you about a topic that's very close to the heart for me and Valerie, and we've been really passionately working on the last couple of months. So about my background, so I'm originally a physicist, so algorithms and data have been my friend for a couple of years now. And I actually started out with materials, but then went even more and more into crops and animals, and now ended up in this agriculture, timber and energy focus. I've also led a couple of digitalization projects in the past for larger companies, but I do have the feeling that really the smaller companies have often the chance to really do some innovative things. And I'm not only talking about startups, but also smaller farms and also smaller companies that have been established for a long time can really be pioneers and drivers of innovation. And I don't know, Valerie, do you want to say a bit more about how we founded Innovate, or should I continue?
You can continue.
So it was actually last summer that Valerie and I sat together and said, how can we combine this knowledge that we already have, the project that we have been doing in digitalization, in the timber and the energy industry, and really bring this to a next level, and had then this idea to found this digital innovation hub, Innovate, to also really support businesses and industries in Austria that really help also the future, and as Valerie said before, really combat climate change. And from that point on, kind of gathered our partners that Valerie will talk about a bit later as well, to then come up with this Innovate Digital Innovation Hub. Yeah, so Valerie, maybe over to you for your introduction.
Thank you, Pia. And yeah, maybe a little bit about myself, because then I think what Pia just said makes even more sense, combining her deep knowledge in AI, or what we now call AI, and data analytics, and really this sector-specific knowledge and background with my background. So I'm basically a social scientist by training. So what does that mean? I focused on innovation management strategy and sustainability strategy in my PhD, which I finished about 2 years ago. I spent a couple of years in, obviously when you do your PhD, you focused on research, but I also worked for big tech companies, applying the knowledge, the research that I gained to really have an impact on companies. So for example, I worked for Facebook in the energy efficiency space, but also for the Salesforce Foundation. I lived abroad for quite a while and also decided that it would be time to kind of bring my knowledge and experience back to Austria, and really help SMEs in their process of transforming the digital transformation, the innovation chain transformation, if you want to call it like that. And that again is the reason, as Pia said, or like that's how the idea was born when we came together, our different backgrounds, having lived abroad, coming back to Austria, thinking about what makes Austria strong, that we developed this hub that's very dear to our heart. I think that's enough about ourselves because it's really about the hub and what we do, and not so much about just the two of us. So you probably guessed right that it's not just the two of us working on this initiative. Otherwise, we probably would have to, we would not be very successful. So we're really happy that we have an extensive team of experts that work with us on this idea of our passion. So we do have a combination of digitalization, innovation, industry experts. So meaning that we have experts that focus on digitalization in the agriculture space, or digitalization in the energy space, or then again in the forestry space, combined with the general knowledge and experts that know how to drive innovation, digitalization. And what makes us so special and so successful, I would say, is that we share this passion. We share this passion that we want to achieve something, that we want to create impact. And this lets us think bold and challenge the status quo, so we can come up with like a pioneering spirit, I would say, that kind of challenges the tradition, but we know that we also work in industry that are very traditional. So we also appreciate that and combine that with like new thoughts and technologies. And now you saw a couple of people. So where do those people come from? So as we already mentioned, we have a couple of organizations that span from universities, research institutions, but also corporate businesses that work together and build this team of experts in the various fields, as I already mentioned. So that's our core team, as you can see here on this slide. But we also have an extensive network, and we know that our work would not be as successful if we wouldn't have this network that supports us in outreach, in brainstorming new ideas, technologies, and getting forward. And one of these very valued partners is the Austrian Chamber of Agriculture, which is also the sponsor of this event today and leading the Smart Agri Hubs initiative. So thank you for being in our network and our partner and making us better. Obviously, as we are a nonprofit organization and our programs are free of charge for SMEs, we need financial supporters, and there on one hand there's this big Austrian initiative that focuses on digital innovation hubs, and then we also have a couple of counties, because Austria is split up in various counties, that support us, and we also are lucky enough to have a Smart Agri Hubs funding already in place. Some more information about where we are located. So as you saw, we have like these various organizations and people that are part of our team. And it was really important for us to be spread all over Austria so we can help as many SMEs as possible. And obviously the sectors we're focusing on kind of also decide on where we work, because they're mainly in countryside locations. And I don't know how much you know about Austria and where the different points are on this map, but if you look at the number 1, 2, 3, that for example is Vienna. The number 4 is Graz. We also have partners in Linz, but we also have partners in between. So for example, the Montan University is located in Leoben. We have a couple of partners in Upper and Lower Austria, for example, in Tulln. And that's what this map should kind of visualize, that we are all over Austria and happy to support SMEs all over Austria. Maybe one thing that's also important in that regard is that we also have international partners. So they are part of our network, part of initiatives and projects that we want to do in the future. For example, as the Smart Agri Hub service call was just mentioned earlier today, we're really happy that we applied with 6 other digital innovation hubs for the service call. They're all international digital innovation hubs that we, because we want to expand our borders a little bit, so that's focusing on CEE. We also have international partners, for example, in Israel, because we believe you need to get inspiration also from other locations. And thus we would be really happy to also engage with you, talk to you about opportunities to connect, to work together, whatever it might be. And also in that regard, we're planning on applying to the European Digital Innovation Hub initiative. This should hopefully be, so the call should hopefully be opening soon, and then we know more. But just to give you a heads up, we're also planning to apply.
Oh, thanks, Valerie, for this very inspirational intro already. So I'd like to take over now and talk a bit more also about the technologies and experts we have in our network, that you also get an overview on if you ever need an expert about the Austrian market or about specific technologies that we will present now, that you can reach out to us and get to know us a little bit more, also what it means, what technologies we're working on. So I'd like to start by introducing some of our focus areas and experts and their favorite technologies, to say so their research areas. And regarding agriculture, this is all about data-driven farming. So it goes from smart farming, farm management systems, precision agriculture, all kinds of geospatial data management, but also decision support systems, and in general, computer science and agriculture. And what we really want to achieve here is to help agriculture with computer science to really get real-time views of farms, to get the pulse of the farm, to really predict things that you could not see with your own eye. And this could be, for example, in the case of precision agriculture, using drones or satellite data and multispectral cameras, where you really can see more than the actual eye could. Always talking about, you can see like a bee, they can see more of the spectrum of the light that we have. And we can actually use that to really get a deeper understanding of what's really going on, and have a more informed decision process also when it comes to sowing and fertilization, which is what you can see in the middle picture here, to really get an analysis of a field where you can really go acre by acre or even smaller increments to make decisions about what to do, what daily activities, where they're most useful. And then from that on, really be able to be more efficient, to get higher productivities, and to really use the new digital data that's available. So for all these topics that I mentioned, we offer, on the one hand, courses, but also 2 projects on these topics, and I will get to that a bit later as well. So this was a bit overview on agriculture, and as Valerie said at the beginning, we also have a focus on the timber, forestry and energy department, which often has overlaps also with agriculture target groups. We don't really want to see this as separate topics, as energy consumption, for example, is also relevant for a lot of agriculture target groups. So to give you a quick overview on the other two industry areas that we're focusing on. So in the area of timber and forestry, there's a lot of computer vision, digital twins, digital business models, use of robotics, 3D printing, logistics, but also looking a lot about supply chains and really taking also this wood supply chain as a whole and building digital twins of it to really be able to also track timber supply chains and really see this as a whole. That's why we are not separating this really forestry and timber, but have it here as one. And you can also see our experts are really focusing on the specific areas. For some of the pictures, you can see they're also having a lot of fun doing it. So that's also something that's very, very important for us to really not only explain what a technology can do, but also that it can actually be quite fun using technology. When it comes to the area of energy, here I want to focus on also how this is relevant for the agriculture sector, because we have quite a lot of overlaps here. And the topic is we focus on in general energy efficiency, but also using the flexibility of energy and supply and demand side management, virtual power plants. So this means really, if you know what a farm needs in electricity, maybe also thinking more about electrifying machinery. And on the other side, what can I produce, for example, with wind and solar, and how do those two match? So how does my production actually match my consumption? And can I use this flexibility to actually optimize my consumption of the power generated by my solar panel, and therefore use more green energy and also save money? And the same goes also for energy communities and citizen participation. So building up large power plants, also in rural areas, often has this need for using digital technologies to have all citizens participate, to use virtual reality. And this is something we see at the bottom here, to use virtual reality tools, planning tools, to also get the community involved and to decide on where to build different power plants. And on the right side, of course, we also have some general data experts that in general manage all kinds of data inflows and deliver insights from that. And maybe two agriculture examples from it now, this more energy focused area, is that we're currently working on a project where we want to reduce the energy consumption when drying different food products. So for example, onions, and to really use different flexibility methods to really drive down the energy costs here. Or on the other side, to try to match solar PV production with the consumption of water pumps, for example, for vegetable farmers, where there's a real chance of replacing generators using fossil fuels and use more solar energy in that case. So this is more about the different experts we have. And as a next, those were the topics. And now what kind of formats do we have that we work together with the different SMEs and farmers? And this is pictures of workshops that have happened in the past. So on the one hand, we actually do prototyping, so real projects. I think in the world of Smart Agri Hubs, it's often called innovation experiments. So for us, maybe it's a bit like a smaller innovation experiment. For example, we're here, we call this the health monitoring of strawberries. So where a couple of strawberry farmers came together to analyze if a pest infestation can be monitored or can be forecasted using drones and image data to analyze and prevent potential infestations in the future, and to really act early on. Or in the middle, this is something more related to also the forestry and wood industry. Here it was all about how can I make a heater that's based on wood pellets. How can I make it smart so it's connected to the Wi-Fi and I can turn it on even when I'm not at home, or it's very smart and can also order itself new pellets if it knows that it's running empty. So this is the workshops that we do, where we also say, okay, what kind of business ideas are possible, where I have different experts that we invite to discuss. And on the last part, seminars. So this can be very practical, to go somewhere, a showcase farm, to really in live action get to know different technologies. Here in that case, it was different farm robotics technologies, and to really also get to know from a first-hand experience from farmers or companies how they are using these technologies and how their experience has been with it. Here, some of our next events, they are unfortunately only in Austria, but to also give you a bit more an idea of what the topics are that we're working on, I want to quickly walk over them. So there's one that we have, which is forestry in times of climate change. How can I use forestry inventory, but also drone and computer vision for bark beetle infestation, to manage that, and in general, what digital solutions can help with in forestry. As a second workshop, we want to find an easy and simple, non-expensive solution that farmers can implement as an intelligent fridge, where you directly can take out produce, but also pay, which only exists in some case, but is often not very digital. And the question is, how can we make this as easy as possible, using digital solutions that it's also not that costly. And in November, there's also starting a seminar on smart farming, which will which will take place on 3 dates, where it's going to be about using GPS, real-time kinematic information, geospatial data. How do I manage this? How do I apply this also on my tractor? And also get to know fields of innovation, so really showcase examples of farms where you can get to know the latest information on the different technologies. What's maybe also more interesting for this group here is a very international event that we call the Farm Hack, which is a wordplay that we're doing with the word hackathon. So really hacking into ideas in a very short period of time, and on the other side, farm. So we call it a farm hack, or an idea marathon for agriculture technologies, where there's going to be 4 challenges. So one is an arable farmer that wants to have an easy to use precision farming tool. As a second, we have an Asperger's roboter that we want to improve. A third challenge is on direct marketing, and how can I use online platforms to sell my produce. And then as the last one, it's about tracking food product supply chains, where actually the main restaurant at universities in Austria, it's called the Mensa. So the cafeteria in the universities, they want to make sure to trace back the food where it comes from, and they're searching for an easy solution for that. So here, teams from, well, I guess all over the world, I guess people in our time zone, or people that are all over the world, but also would wake up in our time zone, are welcome to join. It's from the 14th to the 16th of December. So to do a little bit of advertisement for us on this on this side. And we're also still searching for mentors. So if you want to contribute, please reach out to us. And I think this is already the end of our presentation, and we want to end with yeah, we're able to tell you a bit more about Innovate today, and yeah, looking forward to getting in touch with you on the various topics that we mentioned. I'm happy to jump on a call, discuss what we are doing, what you are doing, and yeah, here you can see a part of our team. This is on one of the largest solar plants in Austria, and this is an agri PV farm where we are standing here in the field telling you to get in touch with us. So yeah, please reach out, or at the end of the call, ask us some questions. I don't know, Valerie, do you want to say a bit more?
No, thank you, Pia. I hope that we were able to give you like at least a short overview of what we stand for, what we do, what a couple of technologies are that we focus on, and we hope you enjoyed getting to know us a little bit more.
Thank you very much. I'm sure about this. So I think it was a very interesting example about how a digital innovation hub can be run, what a digital innovation hub can do, and what their activities are about. There is actually a series of questions that reached me during the last 20 minutes. I just tried to bring them in a logical order and to summarize them. So, but maybe I start with the question of a participant. It is a quite specialized industry when we talk about this digital timber or digital energy market, and there are maybe not that many companies or institutes have expertise in. So how do you reach your partners, and yeah, how do you involve them, how do you involve a critical mass of expertise while Austria is a quite small country?
I think I take this, Valerie. So I think that the target group we have there in Austria is actually not that small. I think we did a quick analysis, and it's something about 40,000 companies, so small and medium enterprise companies, and much more agriculture farms that would benefit from our programs. So I don't think it's missing out on the audience. And on the question, how do we reach out to them? I think this is something that we are still also in the process of building. We started with our workshop programs this May. And what we do is we, on the one hand, rely on the network partners that we have. So also like the Austrian Chamber of Agriculture, based on existing networks, experts that they also motivate their peer group. And we also try to locally get in touch with the different mayors and communities to really see what is their need, and from that on get people on board to digitalize with us.
Thank you for this answer. There is another question about your support. If there is an idea of a SME about a new technology in timber, for example, how far do you accompany them? So when we look from the beginning of the idea and the concept of the idea over the prototyping till the market entry, so yeah, how far do you support them?
I can take this one. So we kind of say we support them along the entire innovation value chain, but with one caveat that we can only go to the stage of prototyping. So we do not support beyond prototyping. So market entry would be something that we as Innovate don't support. But then on the other hand, we have a lot of partners, as we already mentioned in our presentation, they closely worked together with us, and that said they would basically take over the organization, the small and medium company at that stage, and also help them beyond the prototyping, help them with like market entry strategies, even internationalization strategies, or whatever the idea or need would be.
Thank you. I think this is answered well. There is another question. Let's take one about your upcoming events. There is one question: will they also be online? And if they are online, is it possible to participate as an international partner?
So we have a couple of events coming up that are also online, where you're welcome to also participate as an international company. Specifically for this farm hack that we introduced there, we really welcome this. Although we have to say that a lot of our events, and you can usually see it in the descriptions, are in German. We have tried working with live caption, live translation, which is often not that good. So always the thing, welcome to join. Although if it's in German, then yeah, probably only German speakers will have fun joining.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Then there is a question about specific technologies, but I think, Pia, you have answered it already after the question came in during your presentation. But maybe short answer: when you look to the first months of your DIH operating, which technologies are the most maybe interesting also for you as a physician?
I think one technology that's relevant in basically any sector that we were looking into is computer vision, so image analytics. So we've done that for solar panels to really know where do you have a defect. You can do it for forests to see where do you have infections, but also on agriculture to find out, to do decision making on an acre by acre basis, as I said before. So this is something really that I like, because it's so it's for me as like the engineer behind, it's like it's an image, you analyze it, it's like where it comes from, it's like if it's a different industry or not, it's a similar approach. So that's something I like.
And maybe the last one for you, it's maybe a more general question. How important do you see the public fundings for startups, like, for example, research projects, compared to the private investments by, for example, business angels?
That's an interesting question, and not sure that's something we really focus on in terms of this hub. But I guess we can take this more on like a personal opinion, or what we experienced in our work with startups in our other capacities. I mean, obviously, we also welcome startups participating in programs in our hub, and we also have like this Förder Compass, which is looking out for funding opportunities where we help SMEs, and that case also startups find funding. So out of experience, there is a lot of public funding available, especially for startups. At least in Austria, there are tons of initiatives trying to help startups get funding, get a head start. Most of the time, they're not 100% funding. So that means you as a startup always have to kind of contribute with an in-kind contribution, or probably also some kind of investment. So I guess that would maybe be the biggest difference between public and private investors of funding that you can get. Then on the other hand, if you get a private investor, business angels, you always have to consider or kind of keep in mind that you probably have to give them some shares or some other way of engaging. So I guess they're like both pros and cons for both ways of investments or finding money. And I think it really comes down to what you as a startup want and what you want to get out of the partnership, the funding, the investment. But that again is my very personal opinion. I don't know, Pia, if you have something to add to that question.
No, I think you summarized it quite well. So I think it's good that there's both kinds of fundings available. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then again, thanks to both of you for answering also this quite interesting questions, I would say. The last one, I will answer the last one. It's about how can we get listed in the Smart Agri Hubs. Just register at smartagrihubs.eu, add your organization in the innovation portal, and you will have entry to the whole Smart Agri Hubs universe and ecosystem. So thanks again. I will just share my screen one more time. Please, dear participants, we would be very thankful if you also share your feedback about today's webinar with us. My colleague Matthäus will insert the feedback survey. I think you should all see it now. Please let us know how do you liked the past 60 minutes. How can we improve the agenda next time? And just to know what we could also improve for our next webinar. After you have done this, I would say again thanks to Pia and Valerie from Digital Innovation Hub Innovate for having them today. Have a nice Friday, enjoy your weekend, and see us next time in December when we have our next Smart Agri Hubs Regional Cluster Central Europe webinar. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.